Finally, I'm debt-free. And I have to say, it was a long ride. But before I start to talk about anything about minimalism, let me take you back to 6 years ago, before everything started. I was that kid who was willing to spend $700 on his sneakers to make himself look cool, even if it meant wiping out his bank account. Ridiculous. And let me tell you, one was never enough. I had a mountain of them. And fast forward to 2 years later, I made the worst decision to go to a university when I'm lost in life. Study a course which I will never use and put myself in a difficult situation, in debt. Like many students, it was difficult because I had to borrow it from the bank. And because of that, I tied myself to a job I hate. We all know, that's the only way I can pay off the heavy burden on my back. To be honest, I didn't let that affect what I planned to achieve. I took the leap of faith and decided to do what I want to build. That's a story for another time. But because of this reason, my income was literally zero. And the only tool that helped me get through this period was none other than minimalism. Some of you know that I started minimalism because I want to be frugal. And indeed, it became a tool that keeps me on track towards my goal that I want to achieve. And in order for me to do that, I need to cut down on redundant expenses. And one huge chunk of it, for me, is fashion. Letting go of fashion is like letting go of a heavy burden. I was strapped to it and I couldn't bear to let it go. Not all of you are into fashion, and I'm not saying that fashion is inherently wrong, but it's how I see fashion that is detrimental to me, mentally, and even financially. I always wanted to look good. Not just that, I wanted to look better. And the only way I can dress better is by buying expensive, rare pieces for me to stand out in the crowd. It took me years and a heavy school loan to realize that these conspicuous consumptions are an endless pit hole I dug for myself. Our story might be different, but living in a world where people live paycheck to paycheck and putting ourselves in debt just to own something we cannot afford, we can always identify things we overspend on. I don't need to waste that hard-earned money to impress people I don't care about. This realization doesn't only work on clothes and fashion, it also alters my spending pattern. If there's something I really desire, I'll question myself, is that truly for my own liking or is it to impress others? Cut down on the impulsive purchase. Easy for me to say, but the truth is, every now and then, I still have the impulse to buy things that others tell me that I must have it. I mean, it was my impulse that made the decision to wipe out my bank account just to own expensive sneakers. And that's the scary part of impulsive purchase. It has the ability to make us convince ourselves to buy something irrational, even if it's damaging to our finances. No matter what we want, we can always justify that we need it right now. It might be sold out soon if we don't make a move now. That's the reason why we spend so much money during sale period to buy things that we don't need because we are afraid that we are missing out on saving money. However, we need to be aware that we are constantly missing out on things. It's more important for us to take the time and reflect if we need to spend that amount of money, or could there be better opportunities we can utilize this money for. My favorite way to curb impulsive purchase is the wishlist strategy. I've dedicated a video solely talking about this. I've also prepared a digital wishlist on Notion, and you can find the link in the description, which you can use to key in whatever impulse or desire you are currently experiencing. That's a great way for you to wait for it and reflect if it's a need or just another impulse. Managing expenses. I've started managing my expenses long ago, but it's a habit that didn't stick. Once I miss a day of documenting my expenditure, like all habits, I kinda lose the momentum and slowly, the habit will just fall off. But recently, I've been treating it seriously. I'm tracking every expenses that went through. I can't stress this enough. You can't manage what can't be measured. And because of that, it's essential for us to identify at which area of our life we overspent on and remove excessive burden we carry on our journey. The app I'm using is Spendy. I use this to keep track of all my spendings. I'll key them into my phone right after a purchase if I remember it. But if I don't, I'll still keep it updated by the end of the day. I try not to drag or be lazy because that's when the habit tends to fall off, and that happened a few times. Avoid death by 1,000 cuts. After that 1 month of managing our expenses, that's when we can identify the 1,000 cuts. There are expenses that might seem insignificant to you at a glance, but if you look closely, there are thousands of them that are causing us a slow death. Most of them look minuscule when it comes to pricing, hiding behind places where you might not be aware of. Whether it is on expensive coffee you drink every day, or making purchases just because the item is on sale. For me, these cuts were random purchases on things that I don't need. I bought them because they were cheap, and it works especially well when it comes to hobby. Before minimalism, I wanted to collect watches. I was so tempted by the slightly affordable watches that are available, but every hobbyist will know this. There's no such thing as enough. It will be an endless collection if we don't limit ourselves. There will always be another one. But lucky me, this cut from watches didn't last long until I was introduced to minimalism, so not much damage was done to my bank account or my wallet. In order to increase savings, first, cut down on your expenses. That's way more achievable as compared to having a raise. Budgeting is the best way for us to spend less than what we earn. And more importantly, spend within your means. You probably hear and see this almost on all financial websites or books. Debt is bad for you. I live by it as well. I mean, after all these years of trying to get rid of one, it's a nasty experience which I wouldn't want to go through it again. Not to mention the interest that comes with it. And the only loan I'll willingly accept is a house loan. Some minimalists will recommend using only cash. Despite that, I'm not allergic to the use of credit cards because I have rules that I abide to. First, I always pay the bank on time. Additional fees and interest are inevitable if we are mindful of it. Second, I'll never spend more than what I can afford or put myself in debt just to own something. I know, some research has shown that the use of credit cards encourages us to spend more, since the use of this plastic doesn't make us feel the pain of losing money. But I do feel the pain whenever I have to spend, even with my card. And with the help of keeping my expenses in check, I think I have a good control over the use of my credit cards. However, I have to thank budgeting for that, because that's the ceiling and limitation I give myself every month, and it's an amount for me to spend comfortably without depriving myself. I can enjoy my life, but yet keeping redundant ones out of my way. To prevent living paycheck to paycheck, our budget has to align with our priority. And John Maxwell has a quote, which obviously I got it from Dave Ramsey. A budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. And I'll add, be the master of money, not the other way around. Knowing my priority is another thing I realized from minimalism. And to me, it's probably the soul of minimalism. Knowing what's essential, needs, and wants. That's crucial at this point because it allows me to channel my money to places where I can use it effectively. For the past few years, there's nothing more important than paying off my school loan. That has become my main priority, and with that in mind, it keeps me on track and allows me to eliminate redundant purchase and have extreme focus on getting rid of the debt. Your priority might be different. It could be to own a beautiful house or to support your loved ones. It comes in different form. But what we can agree on is by having a priority, that allows us to remove distractions that come in between our goals and somehow acts as a purpose that pushes us forward. So far, I've also built a sufficient amount of emergency fund, which is 9 months of my living expenses. To some, it might be overkill. I have to agree. 6 months is more than enough. But since my income for this channel fluctuates regularly, so it's much safer if I have a higher emergency fund. I'm still at a phase where I need more research on how I can better use my money in different opportunities like investment. And I'm also working on owning a house with my girlfriend, but that would take some time for that. Minimalism might not directly increase our income, but it helps us to save more money and control where our money should go that aligns with our goals and values. How minimalism helps you with your finance? Let me know down in the comment section so we can learn from one another. If you are new to this channel, I have other videos on minimalism and self-development, which you can check it out after this. Appreciate if you can help me with the like button, because that can help a lot with this channel's algorithm. And follow me on my Instagram, I'll keep you guys updated. And if you want to support this channel monetarily, I do have a Patreon page where I post the extended version of this video. Meanwhile, thanks for watching this. Stay safe and positive, guys. And I'll see you guys again next week.